Okay. Welcome to the Power Hour. I'm
You're
super
good.
excited. I have Eli Q from the Q and U team here. Super successful agent. He built a team where he uses proven systems, hand-on coaching, culture building. He has a team of over 30 agents, and they're performing at a super high level. I thought he would be great to come on and then share some of his knowledge. What we try doing with the Power Hour is just sharing information within the community. And it's, iron sharpening iron, collaboration over competition, all those kind of buzzwords that we have. But before I introduce Eli and have him, come on and talk about some of the things that him and his team are doing. I'm going to go over this is the agenda, market movers, interest rates, mindset. That's where Eli's going to come in, and then just some open questions if anybody has any of those. So, market movers, what's happening? Well, we have job numbers coming out. We always have inflation, whether it be CPI, PPI, retail sales. On the 17th of June, we have the Fed meeting. The CME group is a Fed watching tool, and there's a 98.5% chance that interest rates won't change as far as the Fed is concerned. Um, we don't really anticipate anything there. JOLTS reports are job opening, but the biggest mover out of everything is Iran. What's going on with the Middle East? Is oil going to be flowing? Because that is what's called causing a big part of inflation because everything has to be transported from point A to point B. Um, Interest rates. What we have for interest rates, there's a website that I always mention that everybody should have. And that's called Mortgage News Daily. Now, what News Daily do? They survey 100 mortgage companies throughout the country, and they turn around and they get an average of where interest rates are at. If we look at where interest rates are at. We're in the 6.5 to 6.75 range. And that's where interest rates have been for the past week or so. Now, where these interest rates or the questions that are being asked that come up with these interest rates are, does somebody have a 780 and above credit score? Is it a primary resident? Is it a single family? Are they putting 25% down? So, all the bells and whistles to get the best rates. Now, with these rates, some companies have a little bit higher, some a little bit lower. That's where you're getting the average on here. It's something good for you to give to your clients. Um, I tell people who say, hey, I'm going to float the rate, I'm not going to lock, to turn around and look at the ratings as opposed to calling me every day. If you're out on a showing, if you're out, talking to a client and they turn around and say, hey, where's interest rates are at? Just pull up Mortgage News Daily, and you can see where the rates are at. You can see 15-year jumbo rates. They show pretty much everything there. And if you look at last year, you can see interest rates were still a little bit higher. Last year, they were at right around 7%, the 6.96 percent. Last year in the spring market, rates hovered anywhere between 6.75 to 7.25. But starting mid-June on, rates started drifting down. So it could be where we could have by the end of June interest rates higher this year than they were last year. Oh, only time is going to tell as far as that. So let's jump into $1 million mindset. Okay. Why do 85%, and this is one of the reasons why Eli is on, why do 85% of realtors and loan officers quit the business within the first 5 years? Okay. It's all habits and discipline, it's mindset. Real estate and lending is difficult. It's a low barrier to get in, but it's difficult to succeed. There was a stat that came out that 70% of all realtors closed two or less transactions in 2025. How true that is, who knows? But I think it was an article that, NAR came out with those statistics on there. So, hey, it's easy to get in, it's difficult to succeed. Um, what I believe is we are in a sales business. Okay. So we need to treat it as a business. Yes, we have to be knowledgeable, we have to be friendly, we have to be personal, but we are in sales. And especially in the very beginning, you are going to get, rejected. There's going to be no's. No's doesn't mean not forever. Could be not forever, but most of the time, not forever, not right now. Maybe they're not ready for your service. Don't take it personal. Okay. And if you don't want to handle rejection, you don't want to make phone calls, you don't want to get in front of people, well, being a loan officer or being a realtor may not be the right job for you because you are going to have to get in front of people. So super, super important, in my opinion. And I talk to my people all the time. Make a business plan. Put your vision board, put up what your goals are, know your numbers. Because if it takes you 20 phone calls to get a deal, well, now if you want 10 deals, you now have to make 100, 200 phone calls to get in front of people. Okay. So know your numbers. Super, super important. Also, what is the problem that you're having that's not causing you to have the success that you want? Really analyze, understand what it is, or maybe have a coach, maybe, be a part of a team, where you can talk to somebody to evaluate what your situation is. People want to be educated, not sold. Start off with having conversations and educating. With me, the first thing I always do, if somebody turns around, let's say their credit's a little dinged, I turn around and say, hey, there's 3 credit scores. This is how credit works. I don't go right into it by saying, hey, you have a 560 credit score. I can't do anything with you. I'll talk to you later. No, I explain how everything works, then get into, hey, these are where your credit scores are. And then here is what you have to do to increase your scores. It's educating, coming across as a professional, and then what is the solution on things? Hey, getting as many conversations as humanly possible, um, figuring out how to get in front of as many people. Is it doing open houses? I just spoke to a realtor today. He is a team leader. He has about 27 or so agents underneath him. And he turned around and he was sitting at an open house on Sunday. And he turned around and he said, hey, some of these agents are lazy. I couldn't get anybody to come out and sit at my open house. So I sat there. And he ended up sitting there. It was an $800,000 plus purchase because it was a development that a developer wanted the open houses and all that kind of stuff. And of course, he's got to do what he's got to do to get the property sold. And in came a couple that he ended up getting them as a lead because they came in. So get in front of as many people, figure out what's going to work for you, develop a plan, and you're constantly going to tweak it. So, and then back to basics. Be crazy available, especially in the very, very beginning. Be top-notch communicator. Okay. Follow up with leads like your life depends on it. Especially, you get graded if you're on Zillow and those kind of things. Hey, speed to lead. How fast can you get in front of people? Know your products, be a student, study, be kind, be positive, be likable, okay, and be self-sufficient and leverage your network and resources. So there's some of my 2 cents, some of the things that I talk to my team about. Once again, I'm not a realtor, I'm a loan officer, but so these are like my 30,000 foot view of some of the things that I have. Now, once again, we're going to turn this over to Eli. We're going to have conversations. He's going to put his input. He deals more directly because he has a whole team in front of him. But once again, Eli, super successful agent. And let me tell you a story before I turn it over. I had Eli on my podcast, and one of the things that stuck with me, and one of the reasons I reached out to him was he said, when he first started out, he was on the phones calling expires, FISBOs, things like that, just making phone calls. And he would be turning around there when he's doing all this, and he would have other people in the background talking, do whatever. But he was like, "Hey, I need to have conversations. I need to get started. My network wasn't that big. I didn't have, thousands of, closings under my belt." And that really resonated of part of the stuff that I preach. How many conversations can I, possibly have, knowing my numbers of saying, "Hey, these are how many conversations will translate into deals." So, Eli from Compass, welcome. I'm going to stop sharing. And Eli, why don't you take over, share some of your knowledge, and I'm going to shut up.
Thanks, Pat. I appreciate you. I think Pat and I decided before everyone got on the call that we're not going to bore you with the presentation. We're going to do it more authentic, where we're going to dive deeper in some areas that's important for agent. But I want to just say something, Pat. To what you're just saying right now. I don't. I personally don't think that agents are lazy, right? I think that a lot of agents, in my opinion, don't know what to do or are not shown why things are important in the right way. And the other side of it is that many agents who have succeeded past the 5 years mark or around there, they actually they get themselves in a position where they build a business that they don't like. So if they got to the point where they build a business where they actually hate it, right? I spent a lot of time coaching agent and loan officer as well. And that's kind of like the same thing, right? That's why a lot of people, by the time they go 5 or 8 years, they burned out and they kind of have to rediscover themselves in order to be able to grow, right? And I think that's why when what I've learned during building my team, I used to think the same thing, right? We're like, well, you know, if I closed 100 deals by myself with no assistant, like just working, like no CRM and notepad and my cell phone, they should be able to do it, right? And but not everyone's going to be like me, and not everyone's going to have the same drive, the same commitment, right? Or even the life that I want. I realized I built a business where I closed a lot of properties, but I got myself in a position where I honestly didn't like what I saw, right? It wasn't the life that I wanted. It wasn't why I got into it. Yes, I got into it because I wanted to make more money. I got into it because I wanted to have the the freedom that you get as being an entrepreneur, right? And I got into it because I realized that selling real estate is a business, and the opportunities that you're able to have in this industry are huge, right? It opens so many doors. This is the only industry that you get paid by selling properties and helping advising people, but at the same time have access to building wealth, have access to people like most industries don't have, right? In my opinion, that's why I love it. And the same time, because it's a very low barrier to entry, as you were saying, right? A lot of people get into it and they don't have that. They're not fully committed initially because they're trying to test it out. They're trying to see like maybe if I can, maybe this work may not work, and that's why we see a huge drop off on retention of how many agents actually succeed. But if you look at the stats into you're saying where 70% of the agents, do two deals or less, right? I think that 90% of all the deals are done by the top 10%, right?
Right.
And on that 10%, 70% of those are done by the top 1%. Do you see how like the numbers even shrink even more, right?
Right.
So I bet in this call, everyone here is probably that, lower half a percent or 1% of the nation. And and I don't think it's because agents are lazy. I just think that the industry has evolved over time. How I got started, how I built my business, it's not the same as it is right now. Things have changed. People have changed. Buyers have changed. Consumers have changed. The mentality that consumers have going to buy a home has definitely changed as well. So at that time, when you were mentioning the way I built my business, it was in 2009, where you couldn't even get people to get qualified for a loan because the banks were so strict.
Right.
And I was going after the list and expired because there were so many available that were expired. So there was like it was there are options now. Like how many of you have I can actually call expired lists? There aren't that many expires, right? And so on. So it has developed. But the one thing that I want to I wanted to talk about too is like a lot of time agents do chase the wrong things, right? And this is where you get in trouble. This is where you actually get into a position where you build a business you're not really happy with, right? Either you're overwhelmed or just not, you're in the situation where like, it's not really the business that I want to have, you know? Um, and I would say currently right now, the one thing that I want to tell everybody is that would you say like we're kind of like in a crazy market? I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of weird. It's just like a crazy freaking market right now, right? And I always tell my agents that, every market has its own weirdness to it. There's own challenges to it, and remember, who had a really great 2021? Has anyone been here in licensed 2021? Right? Anyone?
2021
Okay.
was great.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I
was
think
my
Okay.
first
everybody, yeah.
year.
So 2021, like it was like for a lot of people, it was the best year, right? But even that year had challenges. Remember, you had to write like 10 offers per client. It was just
Right.
like you were running around, open doors. It was just like left and right. It was different. But even like at the best year for a lot of people, it was a crazy market back then, right? So now, like every year there's different challenges, and now even more so because the industry itself changing, right? You introduce AI to it, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well, but it's just different, right? But one thing I heard this quote from someone back when I got started. It was like, at that time it was a lot of it's a different environment. Things were just sitting on the market for a very long time, and a lot of agents were leaving the business and complaining. When I was telling people I just got into the business, they thought I was crazy, right? What are you going to do? And I didn't know any better. But the one quote that I had, it was like, as long as there's a market, we have a job, right? So my point here is that whatever the market conditions are, you need to find a way that you can service your clients, and that's what makes you, and that's what sets you apart, right? And that what differentiates you from a door opener to an actual advisor that you can help your clients. Because in the end of the day, yes, there are leading indicators that you need to do when it comes to the activities as an agent, right? Before you go to the closing table, you need to talk to people, right? You need to meet them. You have to get in front of them, right? It is the relationship building that really matters, because someone that needs to talk to 100 people can sell 20 properties, but somebody only needs to talk to 50, right? Or have their own relationship they've cultivated over time, their resources, right? So I think that's something that I really want to point out to everyone here, right? But the one thing that just want to go into what you were saying about the activities that someone needs to do. I think the biggest challenge that I see a lot of times is that whether someone is sticking to an activity that works versus what there's not, right? There's so many ways that you can build a successful business in real estate, right, Pat? Like what like I'm just curious here. What do you guys do to drive business? Give me one activity that you just always works.
I
Sabrina.
nurture all of my previous clients. I call them on their birthdays. I reach out on holidays. If I know that their child's birthday, I reach out. If it's anniversary, after closing a month later, I just check in with them. So I have them on my CRM. So I think that's my focus because a lot of my business is, yes, repeat business. And of course, I do, new business as well. But I tend to really nurture my clients because that's how I'm going to continue to get referrals as well.
So, what percentage of your business referrals? Do you know that?
Yeah, I would say about 90%.
So, is 90% referral business from past clients referring you to other
Yes.
clients? Okay,
Yes.
that's awesome that you can track that, right? So like that's what I love, right? Anyone else has said anything else they want to add to that they do differently, maybe different than Sabrina?
Well, what I want to just interject real quick is that's part of knowing your numbers. Know what works for you so you can continue doing that or do more of it. In my opinion, and yes, going to your database is huge because they know you, they like you, they trust you. That is huge.
Well, I think that's important, right? Kind of, I think that in my opinion, is that, like, okay, we know that 10% of the people in your database are going to buy or sell a home. They're going to transact, right? That's the industry standard. So 10%. So if you have 200 people, 20 of those people are going to buy real estate or sell real estate, right? Most agents talk to only 10% of them. Do you know what I mean? So there's opportunity there. So I tell a lot of times the deals, if you're building a sphere business, if you don't have a channel distribution, and we will talk about those, what they are, is that most of the time the deals are going to come from people that you already know or acquaintances that you know, right? From touch points. And a lot of time people just don't do those, they don't actually make those calls or the outreaches they need to do in order to nurture those people. And my experience is that people want to work with a brand that they like and the trust they know can get the job done. But what they want is what Sabrina was mentioning. They want that boutique experience when working with you, knowing the birthdays, anniversaries, the child's name, the touch point. They want that experience, right? Because that's what that's what sets you apart, in my opinion. Right? Whether you're selling a $200,000 home or you're selling a $5 million luxury property in the Philadelphia market, people want that.
Let
And
me
that's
ask you
what,
something, Eli. I have a question for you.
yeah.
Let's say I was a brand new agent joining your team. What would be what would my first 30 days look like?
Sure. So on our team, we have about 3 weeks onboarding process when you join our team, right? And you meet about 4 days a week, and it takes the onboarding itself takes about three hours each day, right? And then we're giving you a crash course of what it's like to be a real estate agent in our team with the standards that we have in place. And from there, each day you do a specific activity, right? That you learn and you use and you do activity, right? And I think that where you get into is like, okay, so what is the formula for success, right? Outside of the accountability that we have and the standards we have and the training and the coaching that we provide, right? And I tell people it's very simple, right? So I'm a big believer. It's like do the thing that matters most in your business first, right? So you guys know, like, working in your business and working on your business, right? They're very
Right.
Yep,
different, right?
I heard of that. Yep.
So what happens is, like, you start working on your business and you get busy and you get a few deals going. You get maybe one, two, three deals on the contract, and then you get into the weeds and you stop doing all the other activities, right? So whatever happens, you're in a negotiation or so on. So, like, there isn't a consistency into the way that you do business, right, and your activities. So I always teach my agents, like, hey, do the non-negotiables. What is the one, two, three non-negotiables that you have, right? For me, what really proven right is that I always do these three things first thing in the morning, right? And I'm usually done by noon, before noon. So, like, my friend Todd Bookspan, he has this, like, community called Win by Noon, right? He wrote a book, he has a calendar thing. He's awesome. He's actually a loan officer in Arizona, Western California as well, right? And so for me, it's like first thing every agent needs to do is, like, one, it's like they need to follow with their database every day, right? Second thing would be, like, generate new conversations, and three, set appointments. And from there, it's like either you're learning or you're going out on appointments or negotiating deals. Does it make sense? So that's what every agent in our team does, right? And it's about, when you are in a team, there is a standard, but it's also it's an environment that makes it easier for you to succeed, right? And it
Right.
comes with some accountability. And the thing is, a lot of agents get into the business because they want to make more money and they want freedom, but they stay in the industry because of the accountability and the structure that they have, that they get. Do you know what I mean? And I think that that's something I want to say. And I talk to agents all the time. And I had a call with someone that had a great start of their career in 2022, right? But then over time, there's just like it was like, it was good, it was market was great, and then just like they hit a threshold. They didn't know how to go past it and grow, right? So I go from, like, 17 transaction to another 17, and then, like, down, 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 down. And I think that a lot of times it's market driven, a lot of times it's like luck, but in order to sustain it, you need to have a process or an activity you do daily that, if I do this, I will get this return.
Let me ask you a question, Eli. So you talk about, follow up with your database, obviously, follow up with any emails, whatever that, that you have to do. That's part of your database, and people that you're communicating with. But then you're talking about, setting appointments. How, if you're starting, how do I set appointments? Who am I calling to, if I'm brand new? Now, I can understand if I'm stuck, and I've been in the business a while. Hey, go look at all the people I closed deals with before and, call them up just to say, hello. You may feel funny doing it because you're going to say, hey, I haven't spoken to this person in so long, and now I'm all of a sudden calling. I feel like an idiot. But you get through that and have a phone call, because you could just simply say, hey, I was driving by your house the other day and I thought of you. We haven't spoken in a while. How you doing? Something as simple as that. But if I don't have that, who am I calling, and what appointments am I setting? Like that was the question when I always hear, how am I tackling that part of it?
So exactly, right. A lot of agents, for example, one, they want to learn everything about the business. They want to learn the contracts, how do I do this and I do that, and they spend like 3 to 6 months just learning, right? And this is what is notorious. And if you're in a brokerage, they charge desk fees. Like, they're great. Come here and then just pay us, and you will teach you that all day long. Just come into our thing, right? But no one teaches them how to actually build a business and what to do and how to do it, right? But there's also the personality thing too, right? I want to point out, Tony Robbins says, like, if you have a compelling reason, the how, you figure it out, right? And the who, you'll figure it out. So if you're a brand new agent and you're not on our team, so that means like you don't have the resources that we have, the first thing you need to do is, like, you have to understand why you're doing this in the first place, right? And then and what your goal is. However, you have to have time at bats. You have to have as many conversations as possible with people that you already know, right? So a couple things. One is people in your phone book, right? People connection you have. And it should be because you're trying to sell them something. The goal should get an appointment so you can get in front of them and talk to them, right? And it could be, just like what's happening in their business. How can you add value to what they're doing, right? And then share about what you're doing, your journey, because that's how you're letting people know about something that you're doing right now, right? Because if you're a brand new agent, depending where you're coming from, a lot of people are going to know you, like, hey, Pat, you're Pat the loan officer, right? Now you're selling real estate, right? Like, how are they going to know if you don't tell them? Most people don't
Right.
even know that that's what you're doing. And two, people are going to want to see you see, they want to prove a concept. So I mean, like, you have, like, a lot of time what happens, to tell people, is that most of your friends and family may not feel comfortable using you until you have demonstrated that you can actually do it, right? And that's the hard part for a lot of people to expect, is that business is earned, it's not expected, right? So you have to go earn the business. So
So
brand new
true.
agent, what I would do, utilize the tools that you already have, right? A phone's a tool, right? Social media right now is a tool, right? And find ways how you and what to do. For example, for me, in the beginning, would be spending a lot of time creating these one-to-one conversations, right? So still do the stuff that in marketing works, right? Do those, right? If you put the sweat equity, like if you're creating content and online, do content, right? Share your journey about what's happening. Don't fake it. Don't pretend to be someone that you're not, right? You're not. If you haven't sold a home yet, just say you haven't sold a home yet, and this is your journey getting into real estate, and share what you're learning. But more importantly, I want to spend time with people one to one. So my goal is, like, can I reach out to people through text, call, or an email, to get some FaceTime to see what's happening in the world or learn more about them. That's one way. So you go from your contact base that you have in your phone into your social media followers, right? Acquaintances. A lot of time, the content you're going to be making, if you get any business, it's not going to come from people that you don't know. It's going to come from people that already know you and have some sort of, like, relationship with you directly, or an acquaintance of the people you already know. That's where business come from, right? And you have to also understand, right? This is something that you
So if
need to
I'm
do in
if I if
volume.
I can interject, Eli, and I'm
Yeah.
getting this right from your concept and your frame of mind and how you think, you're all about like no agenda, just getting in front of people and just trying to connect with them, learn more about what they're doing, let them know about what you're doing. If I'm getting that right, like, like
So
when it comes to booking
I
appointments, right? Because it's like,
absolutely. So like, and here's the thing. I think you need to understand the channel, right? You can't, in my opinion, you have to give before you get, right? So like you've like what's Gary Vaynerchuk one, like give, right? Or jab, right hook, right? So like you
right.
have to give as much, right? So for me, where you click, especially in your own sphere of people, right? Before you ask, you should give, right? So you have to realize that it's a nurture game, right? It's an opportunity game. First, you may not get the appointment. The first call would be just earning the right to the next call. Do you understand?
Right.
So if
Right.
you're calling your friends from high school, right, that's the first call and earning the right to the next call until they get curious about what you're doing. And you tell them, hey, like I'm doing this. And that sometimes requires multiple touch points before you see any business from them. Now, if I'm calling expireds, for example, which was going to, or withdrawals, then would be, they want to sell, they have a real reason, just getting in front of them so I can share my value proposition to them. But there are multiple channels you can go into, right? For example, like if you want to, um, I always tell, I always want to speak to people like, what is the history that you bring with you? What are the skills that you already have learned come into the industry that makes you different, right? Because that's unique story that you have, it's yours, and that's what we want to lead with. And that could tell us a lot about where we need to focus on. But essentially, let's say that I have a background in whatever industry, and that could be my way in that industry. But my goal would be to get in front of as many people as possible and have many conversations possible. So if I'm reaching out to um, estate attorneys or just real estate attorneys, right? My way in getting in front of them is not like what they can do for me. It's like what can I do for them and their business? How can I help their business grow, right? Another thing for me, what I did is that early on my business, I went in and did pop-bys in every construction site in certain neighborhoods. So when I did
Mm,
that, then I found a way how I can add value to the developer or builder, right, before I even ask for any business. So you'd be surprised how many
mm,
developers couldn't get agent to provide market data analysis and comps, right? And or help them with finishes or just certain pain points they had, right? Some of them had to like call agents, take them to lunch, and I'm like, I'll take you to lunch. I'll meet you for coffee, right? It's like absolutely, I can do that for you. But just those are the activities. So it depends on your target audience, right? And but the I guess the framework is the same, right? Like make sure you give to them and find a way, one thing you can help them with, right? And that will help you with your business in return. It makes sense? Pat?
no,
Yep. Now,
it's
let
good.
me say this too, because with that open house thing, there's always, it doesn't matter, what brokerage you're with, there's always open houses and there's always people that, may not be able to do an open house, whether they're going out of town, whatever the case may be. But I listened to one guy who mentioned when he started, he turned around and went to everybody saying, hey, if you have an open house, let me know. I'll do it. And he turned around. He didn't put up one open house sign. He put 50 signs up throughout the neighborhood. And with that, he knocked on doors saying, hey, don't be alarmed. I'm doing this open house. I'm going to have a lot of people come out. So if you see a lot of traffic, it's just an open house. Hey, and by the way, I'm going to have only one person can buy this house. If you're ever thinking about selling, let me know and come on, check out the house. If you want to swing by, I'm gonna have refreshments, blah, 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 whatever. So by him doing that, he ended up because he put so many freaking signs up that he would always have 20, 30 people show up at these open houses. And then everybody wanted him to do the open houses. So that's where you're coming at of giving value. So he was giving value to other agents. But because he was doing that, he was having people come in, he was meeting people, and he was meeting people across the street where he's sort of doing circle prospecting, but now with a reason of saying, hey, if you ever think about, I'm going to have probably 4 or 5 people want to buy this house. They want to be in this neighborhood, and he really opened up, and that's how he started his business, and became super successful. I mean, so it's sort of like when you were saying bring value. He was bringing value to agents where they wanted him to do the open houses while he was getting leads and helping himself out. So I just
Yeah,
thought that was kind of interesting. That he
yeah,
mentioned.
I agree, and I think in depending where you are in the market, like it's different constraint, right? Like for example, you know, like JP Morgan just released an article about like the state of the market, right? And they were calling our East Coast region is frozen, meaning they're just inventory is not moving and not enough of it at least, right? I don't want to get into it, but I'll share an article with you guys here. But I think that right now it's like the issue is like not in today's market. I feel like agents don't have first of all, there aren't enough good open houses to host, right? Because just low inventory to begin with, and property is selling quickly, right? Depending on where you are. And two, they really haven't they don't under they haven't seen success in open houses for them to say this is what I want to do. And you're right. When you pick a pillar, whether you call on expires withdrawn or doing open houses, right? I think you can definitely build a business to, let's say, 100K, no problem, just doing just that, right? You don't need anything else. You can do even a million in GCI just doing just that, right?
Mhm.
And there's a right way and a wrong way to doing it. And I think that when you start thinking doing open houses, it's like, okay, great. If you just put it on the MLS and you put one sign up and you go and hope for people to show up, they're going to show up, right? Either hit or miss. But if you're putting 20 signs up, you put in directional signs and information on them, you providing coffee, you promote that crap out of it in online and social media, right? And by the way, guess what people are seeing? You're active, so the people around in your circle be like, oh my god, this so and so, it's crushing it, right? And just because you're documenting all this, and you door knock the two block radius, right? And invite the neighbors, because what are neighbors? Neighbors are nosy, and open
Yeah.
houses are there to actually, because I'm nosy, I want to see what's inside, right? I'm going to go into that open house. But a lot of time people do open houses because they want to actually get buyer leads, and that's great, great thing. But what else by door knock and inviting neighbors and doing the follow up? Actually, it's a great source for you to also obtain listings, and that's a great form of listing, right? Because you're positioning yourself, whether it's your listing or not, as the expert in front of these sellers, right? And I think that the issue is that with open houses, just like with expires, is that it, they don't convert in a fast way like this. They very few percentage of the people are going to walk in, and then after they sign up to the open house, then they're going to call you and be like, hey, do you remember me? I actually walked into your open house and I would like to work with you. It doesn't happen like that, right? You have to actually follow up and continue to ask for the appointment, create a relationship with them, add value to them, educate them, as you were saying, right, into the process, um, for you to be able to establish a relationship with them, right? And I can talk more about that too, but essentially, the thing is, like, for me, it's like you have to have, a thought out process that that works, and you be able to execute it and understand that in this business, in any sales business, but there's one, two, three, four steps, right, into a sales transaction. And you got to make sure you hit on those steps and repeat the ones that need to be repeated.
And let me add to this, because what you want to do is always add value. So you don't want to turn around and call them up and say, "Hey, I'm just following up with you." What you want to do is give them a call and saying, "Hey, Tony, Sarah, whatever their names are. I thought I'd give you a call because 3 more houses or 2 more houses just came on the market, you know, similar to the house that you went to see. So you're giving something as opposed to saying, hey, I want to follow up. This way, the individual is going to see you as a professional of giving as opposed to, and that's part of one of the slides that I was showing
Right.
about, you know, being an expert, explaining, communicating, always giving value. People want to, talk to somebody, not to be sold.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
and I think that, for a long time, I don't know if you remember, value was just so overused for a while, right? In our industry, and provide value. I didn't like. I asked my agent, like, how do you provide value, right? Because providing value just seems like, one, just such a buzzword to say. Two, people didn't even know how to provide value, right? They just didn't really get into, like, what are the things they could do to provide value. Sometimes it's just simple. You just have to see what the resources that you have in front of you, or be resourceful. But essentially, I always thought that you got to give people options as well, and you got to ask for the appointment, right? You got to ask for the appointment, or for the right for the next call. And I think that, in my opinion, I always thought that this is, to me, this is an industry where, uh, it's a very complex sales that we're doing. You're not selling a $200 course online, right? It's not that type of thing. So there's a lot of emotional, a lot of nerve-wrack mindset that consumer goes through, that makes this such a complex and high ticket type of sale. So it's very relationship, very boutique experience approach that you need to have, right? And when you're reaching out to somebody, in my opinion, you should have like almost like 100% appointment rate, right? Make that proposition, the value of the appointments so good that it just doesn't make sense why they would not do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like saying, like, hey, I want you to talk to my lender he's great. He's closed hundreds of deals for our clients. Our clients love him. Um, at the worst case scenario, he's going to give you everything you need to know about mortgages, and all the programs are available. And by the way, not only gives the best service, but he's going to have the bad rate for you, and it's probably going to beat it. If not, like, no, like, no harm. It's like a no-brainer in a way, right? I'm just putting it out there.
Right.
And the same thing for you. If you position your follow-up call from the open house, right, to where it makes so much sense to meet with you, because what they're going to get by giving you 20 minutes or 30 minutes of their time is so much more, right? Then it's just like, why can't you get 100% appointment rate, right? And by the way, guys, what's the statistics nowadays about the consumers? 76% of the consumers worked for the first agent they talked to.
Exactly. Yep.
So, like, you see how my whole goal is get in front of them. And then if I do that, at just 76% of the time, I'm going to get it, unless I screw it up. So all I need to do is not screw it up, right?
Right.
Just
What
be
about
normal.
this stat though? What about the stat though? How many consumers use a different agent for their second transaction, and why? Why would you say?
For
Because
the
that
so
happens a lot.
I don't.
Right.
So a couple of things. Right, I don't remember this 100%, but I think that statistically, I'd say over 90% of the consumers say they would use their agent again, and
Right.
I think like only 10% or 14%, like very low number, end up actually doing that. Um, and it's because the agent just loses touch. They're not top of mind anymore, right? And they stop on the actual follow up. And that's the thing. Like Sabrina was saying, like, she does that and she does a really good job. But what happens is that consumers, they transact every 5 to 7 years. Do you know what I mean? Most people are not even in the business after 5, 7 years, right? Pat
Right.
just demonstrated that, right,
Right.
into his slides. So it's just like very, very few. Like, and I think that it's just like they don't have an actual like process of us staying in front of people, right? And I'll tell you that just sending a newsletter or a postcard is not enough. I'm sorry, it's not enough, because you're going to lose that business to that agent who actually sees them weekly at the soccer practice, or
Right.
it's knocking on the door every once in a while, or is inviting them to events every once in a while, or is going to pick up the phone call and talk to them and see how things are going and wishing them a happy birthday, a happy anniversary, whatever it is, right? Or to they're going to go to Zillow, and I want to go see this house, and they're going to get in front of some agent who's going to close them. It happens very often, right? That's the way that people do business right now, right? Because where do people start their journey? It's online.
Right.
And they spend a month or two before they get the courage to say, I want to go see this house and meet a local agent. They're not thinking what, Jonathan's doing or Sabrina was doing, right? They're getting in front of the house, and then that agent is going to get them into another house and get them into an agreement, right? If you're meeting someone on my team and you're coming from Zillow, essentially it's like we're getting in front of you right there really fast, and then we're booking an appointment, and the second appointment is a buyer strategy session, right? This is your consultation that you say, and we get in front of them, and we dive deep into their wants, their needs, their goals. We educate them the market. We find out what they know about the market. We come up with a strategy how we can help them succeed in the market, right? We talk about the plan that we're going to put in place together. We both agree. We share with them like how we're going to work together and why the buy agreement makes sense. What do we get paid for? How this all comes to play when we write the offer. And then boom, we get started, right? We make it fun and engaging, and they're working, right? And a lot of them have a cousin or a friend that's a real estate agent, or had used an agent to buy their home that they're at, but they end up transacting with us in the sale and the purchase. It's just how it is, right? And in fact, it's not Zill's fault. It's not my team's fault. It's that agents who dropped the relationship, because right now, what's the main thing that you own right now? It's your brand, right? It's the connections that you have, the relationships. And the thing is, certain things just are not scalable, guys. Because like, think about it, like AI is huge right now. If AI can call your database, it doesn't mean you should have it call your database,
Right.
right? You have to do some things that are not scalable, and the non-scalable stuff is relationship building. You cannot let go of that. And just my opinion, right? Because
Right.
you got to own that, because the moment you try to scale that, then you start competing with Zillow, you start competing with Google, Facebook, Meta, right? But the high touch approach, I think, always wins, and that's what's going to set you apart in your local market and communities as well. Um,
Okay, Eli, I don't mean to interrupt you here, but we are coming up close to the end right now. Does anybody have a question? I mean, Eli, you could talk for an hour or 2 hours, and share, and we would want to hear. But does anybody have like a specific question or anything at all? And then I want to put up some of Eli's information as well. Anybody?
What was your reasoning and why did you want to create a team?
So I initially my team started because I was a successful agent, and people wanted to learn from me. So I had a team before I knew I had a team. So people were just like wanted to be around me and learn from me, and so on. And then I just started giving people business because I had too much business to handle, right? And so they kind of started that way. But what made me want to grow and scale the team is like, first, I enjoyed the leadership part of it. I enjoyed the coaching, the training, developing other agents and helping them build their business. Um, However, starting a team, it's very different than being your own producer, right? And there's so many different ways. There's a lot of teams out there that are just not successful, and there's not a lot of teams that are just like teams for the sake of being a team, like groups, right? But what kept me into having the team and wanting to grow it and be where it's at and continue to grow is that cre- creating the business fundamentals for other people to be able to grow in the vision that I've set together, right? Because that's the only way the team is going to be successful. I get this question a lot because a lot of people want to start a team, or they think that the next path to success for them after being in the business is starting a team, and actually it isn't a lot of times, right? So that's why there's a lot of team leaders out there that are in a position where they actually don't like what they're doing and they hate it, and they're trying to get out of it. Um, so, but the team is almost like it's like you're running an actual brokerage within a brokerage approach. That makes sense? Sabrina, I don't know if it helps you. Like I'm more of a business
Yeah,
guy
I
than
was just
anything.
curious for
Yeah,
you, and your mindset. And then I have one other question, if you guys don't mind,
sure.
based off of what you said. You said that you had too many leads. Were you paying for your leads? I heard you mention Zillow a couple times. And how were you getting your leads?
So a lot of the business was coming from word of mouth and the activities I was doing, right? So I was calling everyone. I was adding people in my database, and I was having conversations. So each relationship added to it. Every sign I put up lead to more leads, and then we start advertising online through Zillow and so on. So every time we add a channel, brought more leads, right? Um, and I could only service so many at a time, right? Like, you know, I was doing, around 100 transactions with no assistant, and a
Wow.
lot of that. Then from there, I added an assistant. I started adding agents and started helping them build their business. But in the beginning of my career, it was more about building my business than it was building the team. And then when I wanted to go full time at a team, I pulled out of production. So because I didn't, the only way for me to be able to grow the team to what I wanted to, what the vision is not to do both. And that's hard, by the way, right? For a lot of people, because like for a lot of people, teams are not profitable if they take away their production. It makes sense. So it's like, yeah, now I can coach people when to do it and how to do it when they start a team, right? Because I think that's very important. What's your follow-up question? Was it the lead source? Yeah.
Yeah, I was the lead source, and because I heard you mention Zillow and so forth a couple times, so I was just
I
curious.
I think because we bring in we do a lot of leads, chat, right? However, Zillow is just not one of them. Um, we have multiple sources, but for example, like the the best source is your referrals and word of mouth, right? And that's the most profitable, and if you can scale that, is great. The only issue with that only brings you so much, right? So you need to have channel of lead distribution or that continue to give you more and more and more, right? Because if you're only feeding one source, right, this is where you're going to have up and down years, right? Where you have like, if your database, the only service database you have, there's some years going to be good, some years are not going to be good, just because of the length of the transaction, right? And it also depending on the condition of the market. But if you focus on creating, having a lead sort to continue to give as well until you to perfect it, I think that your business is not so dependable on one source. You can have multiple sources. And then from there, you can actually have other agent in your team who provide the same service or add assistant under you to help you build your business.
I have a question, Eli. So, what are
Thank
you
you.
looking for in people that join your team? Like, if you were interviewing an agent, like, is there specific qualifications that you have and that you're looking for as a team leader for an agent that wants to join your team?
I mean, yeah. So we look, so on our team, we have agents who are brand new and an agent doing 25, 30 millions a year, right? So the one thing that we always look for in just like a couple things, right? One, are they do they have that hunger? Are they hungry? Right. And I always think that because that's kind of like the kind of people I want to be around with and the kind of people that I feel bring a winning culture, right, to the team. The other thing too, like, are they coachable? So I look for coachability, right? Because like, we are a collaborative team and we want to be people who share and like want to be part of a team, in my opinion. So like coachability is important. Like, I've been in this business for a long time. You could say like I know everything, but I don't, and I still get coaching, right, in every area. So like I like that aspect of it. Um, and obviously you need, we're looking for people who share similar values that we do, right? And that have the
Right.
character piece as well. I think that is really important, right? Um, so those are like kind of like the stuff that we look for. And as far as like what caliber of skills, right, and where they are in their business, it just we call it the agent journey, right? And essentially, you know, agents can come in no matter where they are and be able to grow and succeed to the next level, right? Our team is more of a, like, like we're a compass, and compass is like the umbrella, but like our team, I say, is like the operating system, right? It's the heart that
Right.
that beats on the agent's
Like your
business.
own, it's like you're almost your own brokerage within the brokerage, if that
Yeah, so
makes
it's
kind of.
exactly right. So it's like,
You're like
and I
your own
think it's like
office in a sense.
big brand with with Q and U in it, right? To make it work. And I think that for us is that, you know, why it works is agents don't have, like, it's so, like, right today it's like so hard to make it work in real estate, right? Because all of a sudden you have to do content, you have to do marketing, you have to do events, you have to call your database, yeah, by the way, you have to do XYZ and so much, right? And it becomes overwhelming. And a lot of times, if you can plug in a place where it's already working, and you can just take advantage and be able to, like, make more money there, right? And to be able to, have more time back because of the infrastructure, the support pieces that are in place, where you're able to build your own brand and get the marketing support, right? And learn and network. It's just, like, to me, it's like a no-brainer. And that's what we've been able to do on our team. And that's why people come in. And one of the things that I talk to people when they talk to me about joining the team, or our recruiter, is that when they go and compare, with whatever, they just, like, the resources that they get to be in here, right? And I take pride in that, right? And I think that just finding a way, one of the missions were for me when I decided to not be in production and grow the team, right? Was like, I want this to be a place where people, like, if they come, the only way they would want to leave is, like, if they want to do something else completely different, right? Because it just doesn't make sense for them to do it, right? Where we can make it that place. And that, by the way, that evolves. Like, a team culture or a company or a business, it's a living organism. You constantly have to feed it, constantly have to grow it, right? And the market changed all the time. The way we do business changed all the time, right? And you have to learn AI, by the way, and how does that fit in someone's business, right? And same time, you have to deal with all the real estate news that's happening, right? So I think right now, for with everything going on, by the way, guys, side note, I do think that it's probably one of the best times to be in this business, in my opinion. It's just like, I say this every year, but I really mean it, because it's getting better and better for agents, in my opinion.
Okay,
And how many
so
agents do you have on your team, Eli?
Right now, we're actually about 40 agents.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
we have
congrats. That's an
40
amazing
agents.
accomplishment. That's huge.
No,
okay,
thank you.
so
And I was gonna say, like, I think it's not really me. It's just, like, I think it's like what everyone brings here, right? To like, it's like, I went, like, hey, I'm the team lead, but honestly, for me, it's like, it's my operation director, the marketing director, the admins, the support team, right? The agents themselves, that the collaboration that's set apart. So it's like, it's like, I sometimes get all the credit, but honestly, it's like, it's a village, right? And that's what makes this team special, because, like how we treat it. So
okay, so I
Awesome.
don't mean to interrupt right here, but we started at 6:10 and it's 7:08. So we hit our power hour that we have. Just want to do a quick commercial for the next because we do this the first Tuesday of every month. I have the next two. I have two other people going to share. And Eli, thank you for sharing. The giving of your time is truly incredible. I know you're super busy. They're also going to share their experience, their journey, their thoughts. It could be the same type of thing, or they could have a completely different perspective. Just like the one person said, you know, agents are lazy. Eli said, no, they're not. I didn't say it. Somebody else said it.
they're they're
But
they're they're not lazy. Agents are
there
not
you go.
lazy. Yeah.
So thanks for everybody to be on, and I want to put Eli's information up just so everybody can get some of his contact information, just in case, um, anybody wants to reach out and maybe ask some more questions of him. Anyway, so there's Eli's contact information on there, and he is going to start a podcast. So he's going to be sharing some more. Hopefully, I'm on the podcast at some point as well. But no, I truly appreciate your time. And
Yeah,
hopefully,
thanks, Eli. That was some good stuff. That was some
yeah,
really good
hopefully we
stuff.
got
Thank you.
one, somebody got one idea, one thing. I mean, the takeaway I got, and which is to me something that I recently realized I won't share because we're running out of time, but following up exactly what Sabrina mentioned as well with the database is is huge. Um, you know, because those are the people who know you, like you, and trust you. And that's always a great starting point. But hey, the database can only take you so far. Once you perfected that, is find other streams and to expand.
Pat, I know you're very punctual with your times, like which I respect a lot. But I think we're like I just want to piggyback on that
Go ahead.
because I think that the that almost to me goes without saying, right? So when you provide a service and experience to your clients, like you need to do all the other stuff that comes after the transaction. Because you can't say like I build my business and relationships and then you don't do the stuff that comes after the transaction, right? In a way, most
Mhm.
agents make the business transactional, where this is not a transactional business, it's a relationship business. And find ways that you can actually systemize that part of it. I know it sounds boring, but like you're not going to always remember the things that need to happen, right? The birds and so on, because at some point, like, you're gonna run out of memory space. And by the way, you have to go pick up the kids, you have to do this, you have to work out. So life happens, right? For me, like when I was doing 100 deals, it was like I was all over the place, right? So I really needed support, and it took me a while to see because I thought I could do everything by myself, right? So that goes without saying. So every person you talk to, whether it's a client or not a client, should have some sort of touch point, touch base to with you, right? And that's kind of like giving them a taste of experiencing working with you before they work with you. This is very important, right? These are the conversations, these are the educational pieces, right? You're saying like you don't go talk to them about their credit score first until you explain what the credit score is and it's come, right? It's
Right.
same thing. Like you create an experience for people, right? When what it's like to work with you, and then what it's like to work in, after the transaction with you. How's the relationship, right? So a lot of time people say, "Hey, with my clients, I have a relationship for life, right? And I love this, and you should have that, right? But are you actually doing the things you're supposed to do to really stand by that, right? Because
Right.
I,
people
I
remember
know we're
what
running
they
out of time.
experience and feel.
I want to piggyback off of that, Eli. Something I learned off of Pat is what you just explained. Um, Pat just kind of recently blew my mind, and I know we're running out of time, Pat. I know you're very functional, like Eli said, but and I know Pat's not going to share this, so I'm going to share it for him because I learned something very like it blew my mind. So he's doing a client appreciation event. If you've done the deal with Quain Oak, I'm sure you've got a phone call. He literally told me not to blast emails, not to blast it on social media because I'm the marketing guy for Pat. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, why? Like we got sponsors, we got to get, exposure, like, got to get people signed up. He's like, I'm calling everybody. And we have like 60 people registered from him just calling people, all of his old clients. And I'm like, wow, like that is,
It's doing the unscalable, man. We were just talking about that. Some things
Yep.
just have a high touch that it just you can't explain it, and just you have to do it, right? He could have easily sent an email out, right? It's great, but I think Pat, you got to promote that, man. It's like the experience of working with Pat. This is something we do for our client, for the agent we work with. I'm sure everyone here has experienced that.
That's after the event because I have some things
Yeah,
uh for the event. So I'll video. We're going to do some stuff saying, "Hey, client appreciation for all the people who couldn't make it there. You were missed and whatever." But I do have some things planned. So and I know
This guy's
Sabrina, I
crazy,
think
man.
you respond. A couple of people already responded to it, so I have some surprises at the event. But yes, absolutely,
So
that will go afterwards. But I do want it to be an invitation of me calling and truly saying thank you, because that's what it's there for. I want people to know that I truly appreciate them. Period. And I want to
it's
call them and let them know that.
that's the thing that would matters, right? So we do like mini events. So we do big events, we also do mini events, and one of them we do is ice cream social. We have one coming up this Thursday, and essentially just inviting people to come free ice cream. And we do them
Right.
near ice cream shop where we do business, and we do multiple of those a year. And we get about 20, 30 people in average that show up, right? But that gives us that kind of small group experience talking with our customers, right? And our agents. And it's all, and I tell my agents, it's not whether they show up or not. It's whether the fact that you actually picked up the phone, invited them, you had a reason to call and check on the life that they're having, right, in their new home, right? And I think that's like, just that gives you a reason to call, I think is huge. But if I love to extend this for everyone here, like, so whether you're new to the business or you have a team or you're looking to grow a team, um, reach out. I'm happy to help you and share all the stuff that I had to go through, and the things that you shouldn't be doing and the things that are working. So.
Perfect.
No, you
Thank you.
you
I
have an
appreciate that.
amazing story, man. You have an amazing story. My wife, like I started as an agent, but now my wife's the agent. And one of the things we did recently was a first time home buyers event because, I told her like we got to lead with value, right? Um, and you just kind of like just inspired me because like I kind of felt like it's not like real estate is not it right now. Like nobody, it's like it's not like 2021 when I first started, and it was, and you're like, no, it's like the best time to get in. So it's like you have like such a different perspective, and it's interesting. So,
It
um,
is the best time to get in. Like, listen, transactions are down overall, but prices are up, volume is up, people are making more money. It's just like, it's harder to get secure properties, but you can still find a way to help buyers get into homes. It's less affordable, but there's still programs out there. They're just like we never had before. Right. So do you know what I mean? There's
right.
both sides to all of this. I'm glad you shared that because I think it's how you show up in your business, and it's how you show up every day is what really matters. I remember I did a buyer seminar at Hispanic Society up in Cecil B. Moore, right? And I was like, I'm gonna show up there, I'm gonna blow this room up, right? And there was like 20 people, first time home buyers, and they didn't know what hit them. Do you know what I mean? And they were just like leaving, like all excited and so on, because that's the experience I wanted them to have about home ownership and with me. And guess what happens? A lot of them called and a lot of worked with our agents, right? And our team, right? But it's like, what's your approach to this? Do you know what I mean? So you can find ways that you can put yourself in front of consumers, whether it's seminars, webinars, buyers, sellers, community event, community reach. Just give, just show up and create a really good experience for them, and the rest will just come. Do you? And it's just my belief.
That's
I
so
agree.
good.
I think if you go in Bright, a home is sold every single day. Why aren't you as an agent on that list of selling any one of those homes? So you need to bring it, and you just need to put your best foot forward, because you deserve it just as much as everybody else who's out there selling. So homes are selling. You can do it. I
Yeah,
agree.
homes are
Absolutely.
selling. I like this. Sabrina, do you have, are you, anyone here that have as a team or independent as sole agent? Who here?
So
Well,
I have a
Sabrina, you
team.
mentor, don't you?
I
Don't you
do. I'm
mentor?
an
Yeah.
associate broker. Yes. I did get my broker license last year, and
Congrats.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I do mentor. I have two mentees under me. One of my mentors was actually in here, but she left because she had a timing. But yes, I do mentor.
He's lazy.
And the
No, I'm kidding.
No.
the crazy part about it is I created an empower hour with my girls every Monday. And then Pat came with his power hour. I was like,
I didn't copy you. I didn't
you've been
copy.
off of me, Pat. You've been off of me.
Yeah.
But no, no, no. Yeah. So that's where I am with myself.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. What about you,
You're
Jonathan?
welcome. Thanks for asking.
Just a single agent right now. Yeah,
Just
just me,
single agent. That's a
me and
great place
myself.
to be, man.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
very long
Not
time.
Jonathan, not just a single agent. You've been an agent for quite some time now.
The time. Yeah.
So give yourself a little bit more kudos.
Are you guys the same brokerage? Are you a Remax?
We
Yes.
are. Yes, we
So
are.
you at the Remax next door to Pat?
We are.
Yes.
Okay, this is awesome.
You're welcome for the support, Pat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's okay. I think Pat definitely gets his people that support him like through his podcasts and videos, right?
He
I
sure
think
does.
we also live in that age right now. A lot of people want to see the one things on demand, right? For what they want, and it's totally fine. But thanks for sharing that. And I think that a lot of time people think that the next journey in career is to start a team, right? Or it's sexy to start a team. I honestly don't think that's the case, in my opinion. Just because I've seen it, like I have the battle scars of like growing a team, right? I've rebuilt my team many times, right? Like right now, like we have the best retention rate that we've had like the last 4 or 5 years. Been like that, but before that, it wasn't like that, right? So we figured it out. But I think that for us as agents, we need to figure out what what do we want? What does happiness looks like in this industry, right? Like I know, like have you guys met? Have you probably seen this or met people or read of something? Very wealthy people who are very unhappy,
No, 100%.
right? Because they just thought that like making money is going to get them the happiness they want, but it doesn't. There's more to it, and the only thing they could have done, they could have just really identify what truly they want, what make them happy, right? And then just design their life based on that. And same thing with real estate. With real estate, it's like, what do you want your business to look like? Sure, we want to sell more houses. Sure, we want to represent and help more people. We want to make money. But like, in what way you want to build it? There's so many ways to succeed and so many ways not to succeed, right? But like, we just demonstrated a bunch different ones. You don't have to do them all, but you can choose the one that really works for you. And sometimes there's seasons in life too. Some seasons you have to work a lot. Some seasons you just have to be home with your kids. So
Right. Definitely do a business plan or a vision board. Put what you want your business to look like. Put, what kind of transactions, what kind of people you want to work with. Also put on there, how do I do that? Don't chase 10 things, chase one or two things, maybe three things, and be great at those three things. Because if you try chasing too many, you're going to fail because you're going to be a master of none and, like the jack of all trades, but you're never going to perfect, those one, two, three things. But definitely, if you don't post it, if you don't have that vision, if you don't know who you want to work with, right now, believe it or not, I have people that realtors I don't want to work with, and I don't. It's like every time I have to deal with them, it's an aggravation. So, and thank God I'm at a point where I can choose that. Because what Eli mentioned is 100% true. You could have a ton of business, you could work yourself to death, and all of a sudden you turn around and you wake up, you're on your deathbed, and you say, "Where did my life go?" Well, I worked, I was miserable, and I didn't enjoy. So definitely that business plan, know your numbers, know what you have to do to accomplish, and you may have to choose one more vertical to get to that point. So choose one more avenue that you're not doing now.
how many of you guys did a business plan? You never looked at it again the whole year?
Yeah. I mean, I have on my desk right here in front of me the things that I have to do every day, right here, to be able
I
to
love that.
accomplish my goals.
I,
It's right here
I
in front of
love
me.
that. I tend to I I do more quarterly goals. That's where I focus. And I think that for most agent, I say I would recommend the same thing. I said, know your values, right? Have a vision board, and then have quarterly goals. And the most important piece, have a scorecard that you track daily.
Yep.
And I think that that's the one thing that's missing is like a lot of us put goals, but we don't have a scorecard where we track them and review those goals. And the bigger the goals, the more often you need to review them, in my opinion. So like it's good to have inspirational to be like this, but in the same time, like you have to break in like, all right, what does the next 90 days look like? And what am I the things that I'm doing right now, the activity that I'm doing, is it leading to that? Is it having that impact? And that's where the accountability comes too, right? With yourself, with your team lead, with your coach, right? On that scorecard. I think that's super important. And and that was a game changer for me when I was introduced to scorecard many years ago. And I had an Excel sheet. It was great, and it changed my life.
What do you mean by scorecard? Just keeping track of those like KPIs, so to speak?
Yeah. Yeah, and the scorecard could be simple, right? So like so you have lead indicators and you have lagging indicators, right? So in real estate, what is a lagging indicator? Can you tell me? What would lag indicator? What's the outcome, right? It's a sale, transaction.
Yeah, right.
So it's a closing. So like that's a but what is the lead indicator? So all this stuff that happened between to get for you to get a client so you can represent them and get them a contract, right? So lead indicators like the
Calling your database.
conversations, the call attempts, text attempts, emails, right, being all tracked, appointments set, appointments you go into, what's the outcome of those appointments, right? To have a place where you can actually track all that, and then like so you have outcome and you reverse engineer it, right? And then the scorecard becomes the minimum you've set, right? So on. And then there's that and there's the financial aspect of it and whatnot. But I think that's important. A lot of times, a lot of agents, some of the successful agents, they do just they're very they they don't have that kind of system in place, and that's okay because they don't thrive on that. But having a place that you can check daily or at least weekly, right, for you to review, it's super important. Um, just like for me, I had to learn the hard way, right? Like I learned that I needed to have like CEO time with myself because I was just getting so stressed out. I had too many things I was thinking about. I didn't have time. So then when someone said like, "Hey, you got to have a CEO time where you actually think about these things," I'm like, "Really?" So I would spend 2 hours just thinking about those stuff, right? About the business. Um, but you remember,
No,
like
that's
you're
good.
building your this is a business, right?
Right.
You're
And
the
when you do your
CEO,
business plan,
CEO, and all of it.
right.
Yeah.
And when you do your business plan, you can reverse engineer exactly what Eli mentioned, where I turn around and say, okay, how much money do I have to make? Okay, if a transaction is $3,000 a transaction and I want to make $150,000, well, then that means I have to do 50 transactions. Okay, for me to do 150 transaction or to do 50 transactions, well, that ends up being, 4 transactions or so a month. Okay, well, now what do I have to do when you break it down? How do I get to those 4 transactions? Well, how many phone calls, how many meetings? And that's you just turn around and you reverse engineer on how you want to get to that space or place that you want to get to. So, I mean, that's one way of doing it. And then 100% that scorecard is huge. Know your numbers, know your numbers. Know
And that's applicable to
what's
any
working with you.
business.
Yep. Shark Tank,
Yeah.
know your numbers. Don't come in here
That
without knowing your numbers.
that is. I have a mastermind like every Tuesday that I do, and the guys in that mastermind they're not in our industry. They have different industries, right? But it's the same thing. The same thing, right? It's just we're it's funny. Like we all it's the same thing, and just you can apply it in every business. That's why I tell people all the time, and like the education you're gonna get here on the team, just forget real estate, just business. You're gonna go apply it everywhere, and skill stack, guys. Skill stack. Like I'm telling you, like the time you spend with clients and having a conversation or presenting or negotiating deals, you can apply that in so many other things, right? And that's what I love about our industry because you have that hands-on experience.
Okay.
That's
Pat,
good stuff.
It's 7:30.
let's end it. Let's end it.
It's
Wife is
7:30.
calling. We
Pat, do you
gotta
want to do
go.
the giveaway? You want to do the
No, we're not
giveaway
going to
real
do the
quick?
giveaway. I
Okay.
have everybody who comes to the client appreciation, they're going to get their giveaway then.
Okay.
We're going to do
All
it
I
then.
mean,
right.
I guess Jonathan and I will both get one.
You may. Actually,
We will.
there was
I'm
12
waiting for
people
my
on here at one
t-shirt.
point, which a couple over these note takers, whatever. So we had some other people, they're dropping off. But anyway, but YouTube, everybody on YouTube, welcome. Glad you joined us on Power Hour. We'll see how many people were on there. And Eli, we're going to do some clips for you as well. We'll chop this up so you can use it for whatever you need to do. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. Like I said,
This
first
was a
Tuesday
good
of every month.
conversation.
We're going to be having some more conversation. And listen, the more input, the more people share, the more knowledge we all get, and the better we will all be.
I
So
think
thank you
I
all.
want to get feedback from
Good.
Sabrina and Jonathan too. Like, what you
Right.
guys thought about it? Was this good, or would you want to hear something else, or was there a topic you wanted to hear you didn't hear?
Yeah, that's a
Jonathan,
good
you can go
question.
first because I'm always talking. Sorry. I always have a lot to
Sure.
say.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there was a lot of information. Obviously, now we're at an hour and a half, so a lot of talking going
And you
on.
guys are still here, which is awesome.
I'm listening. Um, I mean, yeah, I don't want to cause us to be longer, so maybe Pat will have to do a part two or something.
We're going to
Maybe
do a part two.
keep
We'll
this
do a part
going.
two.
So I don't want to. I don't
But
want to.
so we're not
Ask
going to go
set
into it. Just
questions.
what's one thing? What's your feedback on it? And we'll do a part two
My
Just
based
one
on
thing.
feedback, yeah, it's super. It's great. It's very
No,
nice.
John,
Yes,
not so much that. What would be the one thing, we're not going to get into it, but what would be
okay,
the one thing you would want to hear more of or
more
learn?
of.
Yes.
Okay, more of. Well, real stuff on generating business. Real
Okay,
okay.
so
actual,
more meat and
real
So
potatoes.
actual stuff. Like to the
tactical
point.
stuff.
Yeah, like tactical stuff, practical stuff, things that people are doing. And then another big one is how people are using AI. AI is like this crazy thing and
Right.
it's all over the place. And so that's definitely something I'm interested in
I
wanting to learn actually how to for real implement it, like real things, like how to have daily tasks, just basically anything you could think of that could be mind blowing. Please give us the mind blowing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
it's funny. We had like 2 or 3 slides on AI that we
Yeah,
didn't
we
get a
didn't even
chance to
get to it.
share.
Mm. Okay,
But
Sabrina, what do you
I
have?
hear
Because
you of that. Yep.
yeah, Sabrina, what do you got?
So thank you for your time, first and foremost, because I love to surround myself and be in a room with people that are smarter than me and that are doing great things, because that's how you do learn and that's how you do, continue to gain
Enough
skill
buttering
sets.
everybody up.
So
Let's go.
stop it, Pat. Let me speak. And I enjoyed the whole you doing the mastermind because I did that as well. I love the whole in the beginning of the year with our brokerage, we do hold accountability sessions that I help co-host. So I love everything that you said. It just shows that some people are in a line, it's our everyday business. And what you're
Mhm.
telling us is what we know that we should just be implementing. I, as well as Jonathan, feel like just give me more of the technicalities of the everyday grind. When you are meeting with your agents and you say you have 40 of them, and I know it's a team effort, but come on, give me the nitty gritty. Tell me what it involves, the actual technicalities of running it to be able for it to be successful.
I like that. Would you? I mean, I think that would be like almost like I would, I would almost want to document that for you, Sabrina. Like almost like that would be like one of
That
my
would be great content.
YouTube things where I could be like, you know what, here, let me show you how I've what I've done to get to 40 agents and what we're doing to get to this, right? And why we're doing it and so on. And I could share that with you. But I think right now, like I'm with you guys, like obviously these things are a little bit different. But one of the things that I want to get into is like what to actually do, how to do it, what does it mean for your business? How you can implement it and make more money? Because AI is right now is very sexy, but as Jonathan's saying, like how to use AI to make more money in real estate. And that's something, one of our rocks, one of my goals is that 60% AI adoption in my entire team. And that's, I'll tell you guys next time about that, so what that means. So,
Okay. So, and then just to Sabrina answer your question, which I'm going to, as a loan officer, a little bit different. I have a daily success plan. So on Mondays, we do this. Tuesdays, we do this. Wednesdays, we do this. Thursdays, we do this. Fridays, we do this. And some of it would be like if somebody's pre-approved and looking, we call up our pre-approved and lookings on Thursday because we do that for two reasons. One is that could avoid a phone call on a Saturday or Sunday in a panic that they need an updated pre-approval. So saying, hey, are you going out this weekend? Did you need any update on your pre-approval? Are you looking at anything specifics? I can run some numbers for you now. That does a couple things. One, I'm speaking to my client and staying in front of them, and then also helping me as well. So there's like habits, calling my database, like the non-negotiable type stuff, calling. So that daily success plan, we have, it laid out, making X amount of phone calls to new realtors and to my referral base, my partners that I have a minimum. So yes, like I'm in exactly the same place that both of you guys are at, that every time I'm listening to a podcast, I said, I want the actual Monday, you do this, Tuesday, you do this. I'm exactly the way you guys are thinking as well. So yes, that is something for me is always a trigger when I'm
yeah,
listening to others.
I think it's awesome. That's great, Pat. I think that's great. I don't want to get to it because I know
No,
we'll be
I
here
know.
for another 30 minutes. Like I'm
You're going
trying
on.
not to.
Okay, so we're going to end it. I do really appreciate everybody being on. And then, yeah, we'll set something up like a part two on this as well. More specific. That's if, Eli wants to. That's up to him. And if you guys
Let's
are
do
all
it.
willing to do it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Once again, thank you everybody for being on. Once again, thank you, Eli. Here's his information up on the screen. So hopefully it's being shared. It's up there. And I'll see you guys. But Eli, I'm going to send you out an email to an invitation to the 17th. A real nice restaurant, not too far from where you live. And it's a client appreciation. You can see John and Sabrina and a bunch of other agents that'll be there. We'll have at least 100 people at the event.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you
Okay.
guys.
Take care,
It's
everybody.
going to be a great time. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone. Thanks, Eli.
See ya.
Bye.